Greetings, welcome to Theology, Geek, Fitness. I'm Jonathan Pritchett, and in this video I'm going to talk about my BCG Sandbag that you can get at Academy Sports for $49.99 regular price. Sometimes you can find it on special like I did and get it for a little bit less. This one comes pre-filled, ready to use out of the box. So when you grab the box, you're grabbing a 50-pound box. It's got 5 10-pound filler bags in there. And unlike other sandbags where you have to buy the bag and it gives you the bag and the duffel bag and the filler bags, and you have to go to Home Depot or whatever and spend $5 on a 50-pound bag of sand and buy several of them depending on how much your sandbag that you buy can hold. But this one, ready to go out of the box. It's got these D-ring attachments that you can attach a strap to it, connect that to like a vest, and crawl around dragging this on the ground if you wanted to. It's got 6 handles. It's got 2 handles you can grip like this. It has 2 on the outside that you can grip like that. And then it has 2 that are gripped like this for like neutral grips. And then it also has 2 straps here off of it. So if you wanted to not use the hammer grips and carry it like this, you can just hang on to those straps and work on some grip strength while carrying it over your shoulder if you wanted to walk around with it. So one of the things that maybe consider buying it, and I haven't normally used sandbags in my life. I've probably used a sandbag 2 or 3 times total before buying this, and I guess I bought this about 6-7 months ago. But one of the things that made me want to try it is I really liked my Bosu Surge 60, which I reviewed in a previous video. It's similar in the sense that it's shifting weight, and I had a lot of fun using that. And so I thought, well, let's see what a sandbag can do, because a sandbag fits kind of in my wheelhouse. Now, I don't use weights, but I do like to use weighted gear. Weight vest, my Bosu Surge 60 sandbags. And you can get a lot of weight for very little money compared to like dumbbells or kettlebells or weight plates, bars, and all that. So if you want to use weight, sandbag is a good, inexpensive way to get weight into your training. If you're training from home and you only have just maybe a pair of dumbbells, or if you're using resistance bands or something like that and you want to get something weighted and you don't want to spend all that money on more and more dumbbells or buy an adjustable set of dumbbells, you can get a sandbag and bags of sand for way less. So it's good for that. And with a bag like this, one of the things that I consider is functional movement patterns, which I discussed in a previous video. You know, you've got your vertical pull, your vertical push, your horizontal pull, your horizontal push, your squat, rotation, and carry, your basic movements. And this can cover all of them that any weighted gear can cover, but like all weighted gear, it can't cover the vertical pulling movement. So whether you're using weights or sandbag or the Bosu or hydro balls or whatever you're using, weighted items, you just can't do a vertical pulling movement. So you're still going to need something besides this to cover everything, like either a pull-up bar, or you can get a pulley with a lat pull-down bar and use this as your weight, and you can get your vertical pulling movement that way. So it goes a long way. Plus, you can throw this thing around. You can slam it, you know, like a medicine ball or slam ball or wall ball or whatever. Adjust the weight to what you're able to handle, and then start tossing it around. So you don't really get to do that with free weights either. Now, of course, the weight shifts, but you can actually stuff these things even beyond the capacity that I have in this bag to make it more fuller and firmer and more like a static weight than the shifting weight if you fill it all out with something. I mean, you just use basically anything. I wouldn't use anything that would exceed its weight limit capacity, but you can fill it out to where it's more packed in there so that it shifts less, so it still can function that way. So even with chest exercises, when you want to do a chest press with a sandbag instead of like a barbell or whatever, if you have a problem with the shifting weight, you can still make it a little bit more firm so that you know it's not shifting on you while you're doing your chest press. So that's helpful. I've really enjoyed using this. Like I said, you could do so many different things with it for so little money investment. And, you know, beyond just all the basic exercise movements that you can do, and then the additional stuff that you can do for throwing it around or dragging it around or whatever, you can still open these up and use the filler bags. You know, you can take these filler bags and you can do some ancillary work with just using these. So if you want to just use 2 of them or 1 of them in each hand and do some shoulder work or whatever, some lateral raises, different things, rear delt flies, you have that option as well. So I've enjoyed using it so much that I think I want to get a heavier sandbag, and I don't mind pre-filling or mind not getting a pre-filled one and filling it myself. So I'm looking at several options, and I haven't decided which one I'm going to get yet, but when I do, I'll be sure and review it. But it's so much fun. I want something a little bit heavier, or even a lot of bit heavier. I don't think I need, you know, a sandbag like the BCG. When you're working with them, it's not simply a correspondence to a 50-pound sandbag is like a 50-pound bar or 2 25-pound dumbbells. I mean, because of the shifting weight principle about it, you know, it's a lot more difficult than just static weight, even though, like I said, you can make these as static as possible by filling it out, stuffing it full. But, you know, it's not like a one-to-one correspondence. So you need to keep that in mind when you're considering how much weight you want in a sandbag. I don't think I need anything more than 150 pounds, really, to do everything that I want to do with weights. But even in the absence of that, like my BCG Surge 60 only goes up to 60 pounds of water. But with a sandbag like with the BCG, if I want to chest press heavier, or if I want to do a bent over row heavier or a deadlift heavier, I incorporate resistance bands and, you know, set the band up, put it in my hands, and then grab this added to it. And so not only am I getting the shifting weight or static if I fill it out, I'm also getting that linear variable resistance by incorporating the resistance bands, just as people do with barbells or dumbbells or kettlebells or whatever. So while something like this may cap out at 50 pounds, you start incorporating resistance bands into certain movements, and your resistance goes up from 50 pounds depending on the size of the band you use. So it actually plays well with the other gear that I incorporate, and I like to mix and match sometimes. I don't do it often, but sometimes, like with my BCG, if I want to do a chest press, and I got rid of my bench, so I'm usually laying on my plyo box at home or my TerraCore or an exercise ball or something, I'll still wrap a band around and then grab it and then use that added resistance, or sometimes with a deadlift or things like that. So it plays well with the other gear, and it works really well for that. But I do want heavier weight, especially when trying to do like lat pull downs with my cable pulley that I got. Sometimes I have to use the sandbag and then start throwing other objects in with it, like my weight vest back there, or something to try to get it even heavier than just 50 pounds, so that I don't have to just do unilateral movements, and I can use my pull down bar to get it heavy enough. So if I had a larger sandbag, you know, that eliminates that problem. But so far, this thing has been wonderful. I was a little bit worried about the quality of the zipper. It's a plastic zipper, not so much the handles and the bag itself, the nylon. It's all held up well. I was worried about the zipper, but so far, no problems with it. It hasn't had any damage or break on me, which is surprising because I've had just closed duffel bags with zippers that were plastic like this break on me just by putting clothes in them. So I've thrown this thing around, you know, of course I'm throwing it around most of the time here in the office on carpet, but still I've put this thing through the ringer and it is held up like a champ. Now, one of the things that I did notice about other people who use sandbag training in their workouts and make videos and stuff is a lot of them have multiple sandbags. You know, even though that they're adjustable, you can fill them up with however much weight you want up to whatever their max capacity is. People still use multiple sandbags, mainly for the ease of switching through different exercises, because some exercises you want heavier, some smaller, plus the size of the bag may make a difference. And in some sandbags, even if they have a large capacity, like up to 150, 200 pounds, when you don't fill it with all that because you want to do certain things, you get a lot of excess bag with it. And so that can be a little bit cumbersome to deal with when you have mostly an empty bag that you're still trying to use. So they'll have multiple sandbags. But again, so much cheaper than a rack of dumbbells. So it works out that way to where it's beneficial to have more than one sandbag if you really do enjoy sandbag training. So I don't feel bad about getting one with a larger capacity. Like I said, I have my eye on a few. When I make a purchase and use it for a while, I will be sure and review it for the channel. If you have any recommendations for sandbags that you do like to use that have a larger capacity, put it in the comments. Maybe I'll check it out and see if that's the one I want to get for the future. But so far, I have not exhausted my potential with this one, especially when incorporating resistance bands and other things with it that I do in my workouts. I'm certainly not bored with it. I love it, and I do love to have that weighted option with my workouts. So like I understand a lot of people who just love resistance bands. They don't want to use anything weighted. They're just happy with the resistance bands. I totally get that. I could be perfectly fine with just resistance bands. But again, I'm not a minimalist. I like to use different kinds of things, and I like to make sure I have all different variety of training strength curves in the equipment I use, whether it's static weight with my body or shifting weight with sand or linear variable with resistance bands. I like to have all of it. So overall, I think this was a great purchase. It's a lot better quality than I thought for $50. It's easy to use right out of the box because it's already pre-filled, which filling with sand to me is no big deal. It has a lot of benefits that it can do basically anything that you can do with free weights, and then some, because you can toss it around and do other stuff with it. And there's certain movements that are just easier with a sandbag than with free weights. But I don't know of anything that you can do with free weights that you can't do with a sandbag. It also has real-world transferability as far as the functionality of the exercises, because like for me, I carry 50-pound bags of chicken feed with the pellets in the bag that shift as you trying to grab onto it. Of course, those don't have convenient handles like a sandbag does. So carrying that stuff around, carrying a human body or a child, carrying like a child, or even if you have to carry somebody out of a burning building or whatever, they're not just like a static dead weight that you can just pick up easily like a bar or whatever. So messing with sandbags has that kind of transferability. If you're like me and you like to carry all of your grocery bags in one trip, those the weight's not evenly distributed and all that. So you have to adjust on the fly to that kind of thing. And it helps improve your grip strength too, whether you're grabbing the handles or grabbing the bag directly or grabbing the filler bag. So that's a lot of fun. So many pros with using a sandbag, and particular this one just is great. As far as being portable, as long as you're just driving, you can just throw it in the trunk and go. If you have a sandbag that's not pre-filled, you can always just take it on a plane by just folding the bag up empty and then getting sand wherever your destination is. That seems like more hassle than I would care for, though, but I don't fly very often anyway, so if I'm in my car, if I want to take the sandbag, it doesn't, make much of a difference. Just throw it in with the rest of my luggage. So, yeah, it seems to hit all of the pros. Thinking of cons, I mean, it's $50 and you get $1 a pound. That for any kind of weight, that's pretty good. So I don't really have any cons to say about this particular sandbag. The only thing that I could kind of say as a con is it doesn't have a single handle on the length of it, right? You've got the two hammer handles and the two kind of handles on the other side that more like a bar. You don't have a single handle, so if you wanted to do a carry, you're doing it like this, right? Because there's not like a suitcase handle. So by looking at bags in the future, I want to make sure that it's got that at least that the 6 handles that this one has plus an additional suitcase handle. But it's not the end of the world. I mean, I don't really care that much. I don't do a whole... Plus, I have other gear that I can do carries with, like hydro balls or whatever. So it's not that big of a deal, but, if I had to think of a con, that would be the con. But other than that, go to Academy Sports and buy one. $50 pre-filled on it to where he works straight out of the box. if you're thinking about getting into sandbag training. But if you enjoy it as much as I do, you're obviously going to want something heavier. So even though, like I said, you can incorporate resistance bands to add resistance to it, you still want a heavier bag. Heavier weight's more fun. So especially for certain exercises and big compound movements, incorporating resistance bands is always a bonus, but just grabbing a bag and going is the way to go. So looking into that, but check this one out or something like it. There's a lot of sandbag options. This is just the one that I have, but I can recommend this. It's a pretty good solid bag that if you have an Academy of Sports in your area, you can just go grab off the shelf and run with it. So there you go. Look for more videos in the future. Other things that I want to review, like a sandbag, my next sandbag purchase. Still want to review my hydro balls. Go check out all the other videos that I've already done with resistance bands and cardio equipment and various other videos that I have on the channel, various exercise stuff, tutorials, all kinds of stuff that you can find on this channel. Smash the like button if you liked the video. Click the dislike button if you didn't. I don't really care either way, and no one will see it anymore. Leave a comment. Talk about your experience with sandbag training. Talk about what sandbags I should check out, or talk about things that you'd like to see covered in this video. If you want to support the channel financially, you can go to patreon.com/theologygeekfitness and become a patron. And for patrons only, you'll see all kinds of workout videos that you can follow along with if you use the similar types of gear that I use. And you might find something beneficial of that. I'd appreciate it. All that money gets back into the channel to help, review new equipment. If I don't like something, I probably give it to a patron or something, anyone who wants it, because I don't want to just clutter up things that I'm not going to use. But all the money that is provided to the channel through Patreon goes back to invested into the channel. Or it's buying me lunch. Either way, something like that. But I appreciate all the patrons who support the channel, and I appreciate you for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one. God bless.